of Reese on the Radio. Whack FM.
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
What's wrong with being an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times?
Do you want to be an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times?
Yeah, I think I'd like to be an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times. Then grab it, grab it.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Yeah, I'm super cool.
I never once said nagada.
I think everyone wants to know where we came from and how the universe began.
You know what I'm saying?
I have sinned against you.
Reese.
Hey now! What's up, all you scallywags out there? You know who it is. It is the world's most hated, most racist online show in America, Reese on the Radio. And thank you for joining us today. Give all of yourselves a round of applause because it's a pleasure to have you here. And I am happy to have you here myself. How's your week going so far, folks? I hope it's going well. Mine is going well. And let me just acknowledge those people out there who are having a hard time out there. This is this group that I am in love with called Little Brother. That's playing right now. Let me give you a little bit of this. This is off of their Chitlin Circuit album. Hold on, here's a little bit.
Spread it out like a body of cancer. My stanza, get it going like a car. Usher in a new era like this, y'all. I'm raw, stripped down, no minerals. A distilled MC, no chemicals, no subliminals. A smooth criminal before the rape charge. I shake and bake, bring terror to your squad. My pen's ferocious, I'm so focused. And I pray to God that the world knows this. Exposes flaws in your scheme, dog. Me and Dilla go hard, my lord. You don't want no problems. I'm a nigga that'll solve them, without a doubt. Yeah, I'm in the booth, cold knocking niggas out. Tell my tales by word of mouth.
Yeah, you know me.
When the sun goes down and the lights in the city get low.
Oh, I can't believe that my microphone was off. Thank you, boss man. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Fonte and Little Brother, Fonte and Rapper Big Pooh of Little Brother. They're one of my favorite groups. I did not know that you knew them, White Mike. But Fonte also has Foreign Exchange. So if you know Little Brother, you know Foreign Exchange. So I just wanted to play that because they're a group that I really, really like, and I forgot to turn my microphone on. what is this woman's name? I'm sorry. April Moss. I'm going to see if I can find this video. Forgive me. It's going to take a little bit for me to get it because it literally just went up just now.
It's not about me.
Okay, so it appears that this video is about 21 minutes long. I have Wikipedia, man. Okay. Anyway, let me get this. I'm going to pop this open onto the full screen. Actually, maybe I should put this here. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Sorry, I screwed that up. Let me do this. I'm going to put this video up. And if you indulge me a bit here, folks, I'm just going to set this video up so we can all see it for the first time. Yeah, this is what I call flying by the seat of your pants radio. Something comes up, that's of importance and relevance to Reese on the radio, we play it right here, live. F all that prefabricated nonsense that people do on the network shows. We're just going to play it raw. So anyway, this was the young lady, April Moss, yesterday that we played, who blew the whistle on her network, talking about the discrimination that's been going on behind the scenes at her network. April Moss, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not about me. They have no idea what it's like to be burdened with this and feeling like I'm watching my country disintegrate. And if I don't stand up and do something when I'm able to, I just don't know that I could live with myself.
You're not just a meteorologist. You're interviewing some pretty heavy hitters here. Gail King, what's your reaction to what she said there?
When I hear fake news, I never think it applies to us.
I just think that it's a shame because over the last couple of months, I've seen personally that there have been stories that CBS has run that were proven to be fake.
One of those stories that Project Veritas actually witnessed here.
Cherry Health now admitting that staffers were in the line of cars presented to the CBS network.
Well, we knew they were coming. We had no clue that we were going to have to do fake patients.
For those of you who don't know the background of that story, let me give you one. So in the beginning of the COVID-19 nonsense that was going on, CBS Evening News, or CBS Morning News, ran what was considered a local story in the Midwest about these long lines of people who were going to get COVID tested. And they were trying to appear as if the town had run into a panic or the hospitals were being overrun with people who were trying to get COVID tested. Well, CBS News called the hospital, let them know that they were coming. And because a lot of people did not show up to do the drive-through COVID testing, they got staffers to get into their car and fabricate a long line, which was what you saw there, was the woman talking about, we knew that she says, we knew that CBS, were coming, and they were unprepared. They didn't have the long lines that CBS came there to shoot, so they fabricated it.
That there have been stories that CBS has run that were proven to be fake.
One of those stories that Project Veritas actually witnessed here.
Cherry Health now admitting that staffers were in the line of cars presented to the CBS network.
Well, we knew they were coming. We had no clue that we were going to have to do fake patients.
We are supposed to be the people that bring light to corruption. So basically, they're going to use the power of all of Viacom CBS brands.
Is this journalism?
I don't think that this is journalism at all. I think that this is propaganda being pushed on people.
Why would you do that? Basically, that's the most selfish thing I've ever seen.
I was hoping there would be a change.
No,
because
there's not gonna be. The only change is going to be, on our weekend weather person. That's the only change.
Your reaction to what he said?
It's hard to hear that.
You're a wife and a mother of 4. How do they feel about this?
They are so supportive. I'm so blessed to have them. They support me 100%. We put our faith and hope and trust in God. That's what we do.
So you're going to go on there and say that, and you think that they're going to say, oh, you know what? She's right. We're going to go ahead and change those now because she said it on the air. You really thought that. The only change is going to be, on our weekend weather person. That's the only change.
So on the heels of Ivory Hecker blowing the whistle on her Fox affiliate in Texas, she's inspired another whistleblower, this time from CBS Detroit, to come forward with recordings and a story to tell about the bias and what she views as discrimination in her news station here in Michigan.
April Moss, I'm a meteorologist, but I'm also a multimedia journalist. So sometimes I was a fill-in host for Community Connect, which airs on the CW morning show on Saturdays.
You said on the air that you were going to come forward to talk about discrimination.
So all of our policies are passed down from CBS New York, and there's just a blanket statement policy for all CBS affiliate stations. When COVID broke out in March of 2020, everyone was sent home except for the essential employees. So there was, again, less than 20 of us with permission to enter the building. Now, I worked in the building throughout all of COVID, and then we slowly transitioned to working from home 1 day a week.
General manager's name is?
Brian Watson.
Brian Watson.
I felt that, okay, well, I don't want to lose my job. I will comply with weekly tests so that I can keep my job. CBS actually started to ask for access to the data from the lab, Pixel LabCorp, where we were getting our COVID testing, which was voluntary, but I, of course, checked no. They do not need to know my personal COVID testing information. That to me felt like just an overreach, but I wanted to keep my job. So I continued to weekly test. Governor Gretchen Whitmer just made sure that the mask mandate was dropped for indoor areas. So I requested through HR, I said, I do not want to comply anymore with weekly testing.
So you spoke with Patrick Bynum, and he responded. He's the Senior Vice President of Human Resources for CBS New York. EEOC guidance, which permits the use of a COVID test to evaluate employees' presence in the workplace. Essential employees are not required to disclose their vaccination status. Essential employees who choose to disclose will still be required to follow protocols. Until July 6th, our current policy will remain in place.
So basically what that is it's saying that, hey, you're an essential employee. We really want you to get vaccinated. In fact, we'll even pay you. So you're setting a standard within the workplace already of segregating coworkers, and I should not be discriminated against.
So many people in your position would probably have just resigned or done something else. You chose to come to Project Veritas.
Yeah. This issue is not just about me. I'm watching our whole nation suffer because they're put underneath these policies that are enacted by corporations, and this is a human rights issue. And every American and every person on earth has the right to breathe fresh air. And to segregate somebody is completely inhumane.
So it's that segregation of the employees at CBS that is what you are speaking up against.
Right, and as an on-air personality, it's very obvious to the viewers, wow, she's never in the studio. She is always at her house working
People
from home.
know, based upon the fact that you're home,
Yeah.
what your vaccine status might be.
And everybody at work, oh wow, April's not allowed in the building.
And that
I
could be
guess it's
construed as a medical information about you.
Right. It's an unfortunate thing, James, but it's not just happening to me, it's happening all across the world. And I really felt like I had gone through all of the correct channels within our organization to try to amend this to no avail.
Can you tell me a little about what I'm looking at here?
So these are emails that come through from corporate. We are using the power of our brands to encourage viewers to get the vaccine.
This is CBS corporate.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute now, folks. Do you hear that nonsense? We're using the power of our brand to push the vaccine. Ain't that a son of a gun? One example, MTV and Comedy Central Brazil teamed up with Facebook and Instagram to launch an important social media message. It reached 15.9 million people and had 39 million impressions in just 5 days. Vaccine hesitancy. Does that sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? We talked about it right here on this show. Vaccine hesitancy. It's what Facebook is doing, flagging vaccine hesitancy. All the major corporations are down. That's interesting.
Yes, Viacom CBS.
Vaccine hesitancy. We've seen this term before with Facebook whistleblower.
Right.
Tell me about what that means.
So basically, they're going to use the power of all of Viacom CBS brands. It's a huge conglomeration. But one example that they're showing here is MTV and Comedy Central Brazil teamed up with Facebook and Instagram to launch an important social media campaign.
Is this news? Is this journalism?
I don't think that this is journalism at all. I think that this is propaganda being pushed on people.
What is the most egregious example that you've seen personally at CBS Detroit of this lack of journalism that you speak of?
Probably the most recent has been when we've done the Community Connect show. We want to talk about what's going on in Detroit and around the community. It's supposed to be an upbeat type of lighthearted piece. But over the last year, we've had some political figures. As I've watched some of those interviews, it made me a little bit sad because the people are recognizing that elected officials are not making decisions in the people's best interest. And as a journalist, I feel responsible to be able to bring these questions to light. The most recent was when I interviewed Dr. Khaldun. She was a major critical person in the vaccine rollout here in Detroit. And I was really looking forward to asking her some questions about the safety and efficacy of the vaccines.
So this is you interviewing Dr. Khaldun and not asking softball questions.
Can you just clarify really quick about you said they prevent hospitalizations, but we know that there have been many studies showing that people have been hospitalized after the vaccination. What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. So when you look at the clinical trials, and all of them are different. So it's really important that you can't just put all the clinical trials for all 3 vaccines into one and make assumptions. But in every trial, what they showed was that there is high efficacy when it comes to people who received the vaccine and whether or not they had COVID-19 related symptoms, hospitalizations, or deaths. I think it's also really important that people understand there are some people who have had reactions after a vaccine, but those reactions are not necessarily directly related to the vaccine.
This is a brand new medical product that's being released. And I understand that, it was important. We need to get our economy back up and running. This was a good thing, right? But people need to have informed consent. And so I felt like it was a very valid question to ask. Hey, can you tell me, Dr. Khaldun, what are the long-term studies that have been done regarding safety and efficacy of these vaccines? I was trying to ask some more pointed questions, and I really wanted to find out because she basically said early in the segment that nobody had adverse reactions, and I knew that was false. So I was trying to have her clarify that for me. And as I was speaking, my producer in my ear was saying, move on to the next question.
Really?
Did not want me to talk about.
What was that producer's name? If you're uncomfortable saying it, it's okay. So the person at the station was telling you to move on from this line of questioning because they, in your opinion or from your perspective, they didn't want you to talk about this. Right, but this was almost like you're not allowed to ask real questions about the vaccine, just ask her who inspires her and those types of things. And I felt like as a journalist, there's no way I can have somebody who has the knowledge that she has regarding vaccines and is talking about them and showing how she's already demonstrated that she's gotten one. And it would have been careless of me as a journalist not to ask those questions.
Okay, so there you have it. You can watch it on Project Veritas's site on YouTube if they're not taking it down already. But it appears to be up there as of yet. So again, doing the work that mainstream media isn't doing, our good friend James O'Keefe over there at Project Veritas. So I'm going to watch the rest of that. It appears to be roughly about 21 minutes long, and I don't want to inundate you with that on this entire show. Anyway, I've got plenty of other stuff to get into. Plenty of other things, I should say, to get into. Sidewalks are now racist. I didn't know that. White Mike says, remember when ABC had their reporter not do her story on Jeffrey Epstein? That's right. It isn't journalism anymore. It's all about propaganda. What was I going to say? Oh, folks, just so you know, I got the audio back.
Nigga.
Nonsense. Nigga Nonsense is back, and we put that in the repertoire, so you can expect that. And oh, by the way, it's going to look a little something like this.
Nigga.
Nonsense. Oh, damn it. I'm sorry. I screwed up my cue. Let me do it again. It goes like this.
Nigga.
Nonsense. That's what it looks like. Anyway, okay. So, first story I want to get into today. Well, technically, the second story I want to get into today. So, apparently the Karen phenomenon has hit a fever pitch. Some fool-ass Negro has decided that to make a movie about Karen. For those of you who don't know, Karens are not necessarily white women. Karen is a woman who's always calling a manager. She's a tattletale. She's a hall monitor. She's all up in your grill. You know, she's part of the HOA. You know, she's part of Neighborhood Watch. She's a tattletale. She's the first person to call the police. And when you got an SUV in the HOA, when you're only allowed to have a hybrid. That's this bitch. So apparently some black man, some 2-bit BET director, decided that he is, yes, that's right, Karen's sending the pizza back. That is 100%. Sending a pizza back, that's Karen. So apparently some fool-ass Negro over at the Bamboozled Entertainment Television, yes, that Negro's network, now owned by the white man. He's a director over there. His name, I believe, is, it doesn't matter what his name is. But yes, folks, there is a new horror thriller. A new horror thriller. Brought to you by the folks over at BET Films. Feast your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, on the new horror film, Karen.
Guess this is a long way from East Point.
Baby, you just gotta give it a chance.
Tell me about your new neighbors.
They're black. Do you mind keeping it down? If you don't comply, I'll tell the manager.
Somebody's taking home security serious.
Hi, I am Karen Drexler. I'm your neighbor. You need to be taking your trash cans off the curb right when the trash is picked up.
Is she nice?
Yeah, she's nice.
Wait a minute. We have a white entitled neighbor named Karen.
Karen, okay, enjoy yourself.
There she is, slaving away in the kitchen.
Great line.
I've come across some very suspecting teenagers.
Suspecting?
Can you please hurry up? Please, they're very aggressive. Yep.
I left my wallet with my ID at home. Leave us alone. We didn't do anything.
How the heck did you end up moving to this neighborhood? Next thing you know, we have criminals. You take care of him, and I will take care of her.
Would you mind stepping out of the car?
My office has uncovered some disturbing information on her and her brother.
She doesn't like black people.
We have a search warrant.
Well, I'm black.
I know, she doesn't like you either.
I want to sell the house.
What'd I do? You can't tell me, huh?
We are living next door to a racist. You went in her house?
You wouldn't want your wife to know our little secret, right?
That was not standard police procedure back there.
What do we have here?
Where you got a hammer, everything looks like nails.
You people are very angry.
Shut your mouth, boy.
Bad things happen to people that don't comply.
That's right, folks. Karen, coming to a theater near you. Please, folks, do not be the fool-ass Negro or fool-ass white person who goes there to check their white privilege. You will only be, you will be one of maybe 4 people who end up at the theater to watch this nonsense. Let me just tell you how this movie ends so you don't have to run and see it yourself. It ends just like this. They killed the white bitch and her brother, and the black people go unscathed. Nobody arrests them or send them to prison because in the New World Order, black people don't get arrested for crimes. They're allowed to shoot white people indiscriminately because it is the new racism. It's the new discrimination, and equity is the order of the day. That's just how that's going to end. Look at you. I just saved you $4.29 on the bootleg video that you were going to pick up at the barbershop next week. Folks, with nonsense like this, folks, you want to know what world you live in? This is the world that you live in. Folks, I want you to watch something. This happened in the Bronx. Now, with everybody running around talking about white fragility, with everyone talking about racism, with everyone talking about systemic racism, with everyone talking about critical race theory, with everyone talking about Black Lives Matter, with everyone talking about systemic whatever in this country, I want you to watch this video. I removed the sound. I just need you to watch it. And I'm going to play it a couple of times, but just feast your eyes on the screen. Just look at this. Horrified yet? That was a scene in the Bronx. A masked man chasing after someone. The person being chased after runs into a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old kid. Plows into them, knocking them onto the ground. The assailant with a gun fires on that individual. Continues to fire on them until he kills him. Making sure he kills him, didn't give a damn about the young children who were standing there screaming. The 10-year-old covering the 5-year-old, shielding the 5-year-old with their own body as a hail of gunshots whizzed by their faces. Watch it again. Sure, I'm sure that there are some people who talked about it on the news because it was so brazen. It was broad daylight. There are 2 small children involved. Watch it again. Who do you think is worse in that scenario? The shooter or the son of a bitch trying to shield his body with a bunch of children? Well, let's go one step further. What do you think is more worse? That we live in a country that allows that to happen and no one is outraged about it. Where you can watch a video like that and probably see it for the first time and wonder, why isn't that on every screen in the entire country? Why isn't everybody outraged about that? You look at that video and ask yourself a simple goddamn question, folks. I'll ask you an even harder question. How the fuck is that not worse than what happened to George Floyd? Or Eric Garner? Or Trayvon Martin? Or Sandra Bland? Or Breonna Taylor? That right there. That right there. You want to talk about how fucking vicious police are? You want to talk about morality? You want to talk about common fucking decency? That was a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old there. This son of a bitch wanted to shoot that guy so badly, he was willing to shoot through children. To kill him over what? Over some gang beef. Fuck your false flag, man. Fuck your false flag. Fuck your police brutality. Fuck your systemic racism. Fuck your white privilege, white fragility, Black Lives Matter bullshit. Fuck all of you. This is why I'll never take any of you pieces of shit seriously. That shit happened in broad fucking daylight, and not one of you are outraged? That shit isn't more egregious than what happened to George Floyd? That isn't? That is not, doesn't have people screaming? That doesn't have people in the streets trying to find that piece of shit? There are not people in the Bronx walking arm in arm scouring the streets for that fucking animal? Fuck everything that you believe in, my friend. Fuck everything you stand for. You ain't shit. Because I saw that shit and I vomited. I don't know those kids from a hole in the ground. I don't know those kids at all. I don't know their families. I don't know who they are. All I know is that they're kids. All I know is from where I grew up, that you don't do that shit. You don't bring that kind of harm to small, innocent children. There is nothing that 10-year-old to show exactly what type of person that 10-year-old is. You want to talk about the morals of a 10-year-old. You want to talk about the strength and the courage that 10-year-old has. That 10-year-old knows that they are going to die in a hail of bullets. They know what's happening around them. They live in the Bronx. And that 10-year-old is trying to cover the 5-year-old with their own feeble body. Not near one of us have the fucking guts that 10-year-old have. None of us. And I don't know that girl. And I don't know you. And I know there's a part of you that's sitting up there going, could you do that? You might be able to do it with your children. I'll admit that. But you couldn't do that at 10. You'd be scared to death. Watch it again. Look at how she gets up. She grabs her, covers her body. I think it's a little boy, in fact, but covers the little boy's body. Get down. I got you. The next person that ever comes to me and talks all that Black Lives Matter shit, I gotta say, your fucking outrage is misplaced. That is the scourge that we need to get rid of. That is it. That is all of it. That's all of it. That's happening everywhere. That is killing 8,000 people a year in the inner city. That is the violence that's happening out there. Yeah, he was shooting the guy in the red, and the guy in the red ran into a bunch of children, and even tried to shield himself around the children. I'll play it again. I'll even stop it where it's relevant. He plows over the children there while he's being chased. Now that, he's just running, but he just plows over the 5-year-old first. The 5-year-old gets the brunt of the blow as he falls into him. It's what he does afterwards. He sees the children on the ground. The guy's got the gun. He scours and runs around the children. Now, I can't suggest that he is trying to get away from the children, but here, it doesn't look that way. He's either falling to the ground because he's been shot so many times, or he's trying to get in front of the children so that he's not shot again. But there he falls down. The 5-year-old, I do believe, is a boy, and the 10-year-old is a girl. The boy is in the green or the aqua green, and the girl is in the lavender. As you see there, as he runs back up just to make sure he's finished the job because he sees the guy moving. He knows that there are children there. He comes and he fires again, and this time right by the 10-year-old's head. He's still firing. And at that point, the 10-year-old, at the 10-year-old's head, the 10-year-old doesn't know where to go because they don't know what's going on and everything's happening so fast. But the 10-year-old gets up and then grabs the 5-year-old, pulls them down, and shelters her body. Shelters his body as a 5-year-old boy. And he continues to fire and run off. How long can the media continue to hide all this from the people? As long as they want to. But it's not the media's job. It's not the media's job to make other people aware of this. That's right. And not one other adult came to help. That's right. Those children were on their own because they don't give a shit about kids in their neighborhood who die. Folks, if you needed your evidence that black lives don't matter or these quote-unquote black and brown lives don't matter, if you need evidence of that, here it is. Here it is. If you're asking yourself why it is that there are no marches for the little children who were killed indiscriminately due to violence in those inner cities, this is a fine example of that. The fact that there's no outrage, the fact that nobody came to those kids' aids at all. No one at all. The fact that a 10-year-old had to fend for themselves to protect a 5-year-old. The loudest voices in the room would never ever stand up for those two people. Those two children, the loudest voices in the rooms, the ones that are collecting all the checks, the ones that are cheesing for the camera, the ones that are burning down buildings and businesses. Not one of them would have the guts to do what that 10-year-old did for that 5-year-old. Not one of them. And those are the people that everyone's paying attention to. No fucking more. That is a joke. I don't want to hear no bullshit about no slavery that they never experienced. I don't want to hear shit about it. I don't want to hear about fucking, I don't want to hear about the fucking past or what your quote-unquote great-great-great-great-grandfather that you know nothing about went through. That shit is nonsense. I don't want to hear about how the white man's holding you down. I don't want to hear shit about it. With all due respect, that is the fucking terror going on today. That's terrorism, folks. While everyone else is running around talking about fucking January 6th, my man. What happened on January 6th at the Capitol that compares to that? What happened at the Capitol that compares to that? With the exception of Ashley Babbitt being shot by a cop, unarmed, climbing into a window. With the exception of that. Tell me what happened at the Capitol building that compares to what you just saw. To two innocent children walking down in broad daylight. Probably just going to the store to go get some icy or some gum or some candy. Or just coming from the park or whatever. Nothing. I don't want to hear any about you. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear all the nonsense. This shit is nonsense. I don't know. When you see something like that, and then you go on MSNBC, and this is the shit that you hear. This is the shit you hear on MSNBC about the cops. Remember, they want to defund the police in the Bronx. And then some Negro, some stupid fucking Negro, goes on MSNBC, goes on the white man's channel and says this dumb shit.
This rising crime is not the fault of the movement. It's actually the fault of the police, and this has been our point all along. Why should we keep funding systems and institutions that keep rendering themselves ineffective? We should be talking about gun control, livable wages, fair housing, education. That's where we should be moving the money to ensure truly safe streets.
It's the police's fault. Police is the reason why you, ladies and gentlemen, saw this. That's the police's fault. These people are allowed on television. No one is calling Pookie and them when things go down. You're right. Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. I'm sorry, I got so many people writing here. A new here around horrific story. No money in it for them. They're both fucking pricks. That's right, I said it. This is the sort of behavior one sees in failed societies. People who PTSD, and shell-shocked and don't value human life at all. It's not much different than Libya or Rwanda at this point. Yeah, it will take generations before it can be remedied. And that only happens with mass incarceration. Oh, I'd hate to have to think that, Mike. I get where you're coming from. You know, it's like you'd almost have to Giuliani the goddamn neighborhood again. You know, people were very upset about the way Giuliani came in there, sort of like hard-nosed quality of life policing that he did. The police officers hated Giuliani because they thought that he was forcing them to be a little heavy-handed on the perps for even the smallest of infractions, playing your music too loud. Well, look, I'm sorry. If I had a car back in the Giuliani era, I'd have been getting a ticket every day because I like my music loud. I do. I'm sorry. I listen to good music, though. But yeah, I would have been that guy. I would have been pulled over. And during the time, don't get me wrong, I can tell you a story. I've told this before. I got sent, held at a police station in Washington Square Park because a friend of mine wanted to play an NWA tape on my boombox. Yes, I said boombox. But on my boombox at the park, my mother's laughing at me because I said boombox. But I played it on my boombox, and NWA, and the song was, F the Police came on there. And a police officer walked by. I had been playing the radio the whole time, listening to A Tribe Called Quest and Leaders in the New School, no problem. All of a sudden, I put on F the Police. Next thing you know, whose radio is this? And I'm in the back of a squad car. But yeah, I understand it, quality of life. But when I was young then, of course, I had my little issues with it. Oh, they're not letting us have fun. But I get it now. When I'm a kid, I'm a kid. When I'm an adult, I understand it. Look, there's some adult supervision that's got to be done out there. So I don't know whether or not I can go, yes, broken windows policing. Absolutely, Mike. I was going to get into that. But you're right, yes, broken windows policing. William Braffman was in charge of that before Bernard Carrick took over. Not William Braffman, I'm saying that he was a lawyer. I think that's it. I can't remember who the former chief of police was then before Bernard Carrick. His name will come to me. But anyway, yeah, the broken windows policy. There's a guy from Boston, in fact. He's a Boston chief of police who came down to New York. But yeah, I totally get that now. I'm an adult now, so I understand it. Mass incarceration is kind of an issue. But you know what? When everybody's lawless, you may have to take everybody to F in. But I think you have to do it right. Now everybody's so goddamn woke, it's disgusting. And they don't even realize that this wokeism is affecting the lives, real lives. It's hurting real people. Dare I say, these two real people, real children. That's who it's affecting. And that's where the mess is. You have to watch that video. You have to see it as many times, and you must be etched in your brain, because the next time you hear this nonsense that's out there, you got to call it out for what it is. Now, while that nonsense is happening, hold on one second. Forgive me for one quick moment. Sorry about that. The people over at the Washington Post, you don't think that they know this story? You don't think they've heard this story? You don't think that somebody's reported on it or seen it? No, here's what they're doing over at the Washington fucking Post.
For the first time, white people were becoming aware of their whiteness. And
this is the order of the day. Not real lives dying. This stupidness about white people recognizing their whiteness for the first time.
for the first time, white people were becoming aware of their whiteness and the systemic ways that white supremacy affects all of us.
Part of the structure of racism and the way that it's maintained is to keep us from recognizing that racism is a part of our daily lives.
No matter how much you work at that, there's still even almost more work to be done.
White people got to start getting together, specifically around race.
White accountability groups are really helpful in terms of having a place to process.
There's a period of deep shame for being white and for acknowledging the harm that our ancestors have caused. We can't ask people of color to hold our hands through the shame piece. That needs to happen with other white people.
My whiteness is going to show up at different points in my life.
Everything I thought about how I existed in my white body in the world was very wrong.
Oh, you know what? Fuck it. That's because their behavior is expected to behave this way. I'm not sure what you mean, Roseanne. But I still think that this is nonsense. This is what everybody's focused on. White privilege, white supremacy. Do you think that these two little girls... I mean, what do you think that they wake up every morning worried about white supremacy? Do you think that's what they're worried about when they wake up in the morning? What do you think is traumatizing them this morning? Anybody? Huh? Do you think they're worried about Timmy or Becky? What do you think is scaring the shit out of them today? Right? About whether or not they're going to get an opportunity, whether or not anybody's going to create a program for them to achieve.
For the first time, white people.
Sorry. You think that's what they care about? You think they care about what this Negro is talking about at all? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. I'm with you, man. The sad part about this is that children's services will probably call down on parents for allowing their children to be out by themselves. Yeah. Black folks are expected to behave this way. That's why no one reports it. That might be sadly true, Roseanne. It might be. John Beckman says, how fucking stupid. I was taught very young about race. Early 60s, and now some fuck has to tell me about my whiteness. Fuck off with that shit. Now, see, John Beckman is displaying exactly what I said was going to happen over a year ago. I said that on this show. And I was very adamant about it, and I probably cursed a little bit about it. And I'm a little outraged about this, so forgive my language today, because, guys, you know that that's not kind of my forte. I let you guys, when you call in, you guys get to curse all the time, so I try to keep that stuff limited. So when this stuff angers me, it angers me to the core. But I said this a long time ago. If you think that this nonsense about check your white privilege or white fragility, you know, or systemic racism, oppressor, critical race theory. You're white, you're an oppressor. You're black, you're a victim. If you think this was going to ingratiate yourselves with the quote-unquote opposing group, with the opposite, if you think that this was going to in some way get people to go, you know what, you're right. My white fragility, my oppressive nature, I grew up with this whiteness, and I'm just naturally an oppressor. If you didn't think there was going to be some revolt, if you didn't think that the human condition would turn around and said exactly what John Beckman said, fuck this shit. I ain't a racist. I'm not dealing with this anymore, and I'm not going to have a bunch of people running around calling me a racist. Now, you come out your face one more time, I'm going to have to hit you. Do you really think that nobody's going to push back on this? Do you really think that you're going to shame people? That shit may have worked with guys like George W. Bush when Kanye came out and said George Bush doesn't care about white people. And everybody was sitting there, yeah, you tell him, Kanye. How'd that go, by the way, with the Kanye thing? How'd that go? Right? He's batshit crazy now, right? Yeah, you were cheering him on when he said George Bush doesn't care about black people. But now, well, maybe he is crazy. Yeah, maybe he is. But the bottom line is, right? You're going to keep telling people that nonsense over and over again. And sure, you're going to get these lily white idiots over here, who just want so badly to be loved by you black people. They want so badly for you to forgive them for their whiteness. They're not the type of people who push back. You could holler at any one of those women that are on there and you could get $100 out of any one of them. Any day. Any day. You tell one of those white ladies to get on their knees and and ask for forgiveness for their whiteness, they'd be happy. Where do I put my knees? I'll get down on there, do that right now. That's exactly who they are. But you're going to have guys like John Beckman who are going to say, nah, man, F that. Hell no, I'm not going down with a fight. Give me liberty or give me death. I'm not going to be told by a bunch of rabble-rousers that all of a sudden I'm a racist just because you want me to be. Okay, that's what I thought this was going to happen. 100%. Okay, I'm ready. Come on, scream it out at me.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey!
So I'm just thinking, this whole white fragility thing, and I think you and I talked about this before, you cannot change one extreme by going in the other direction. There has to be some level medium ground, and unfortunately these fucking snowflakes are just oh my god, my ancestors were like slave owners, so like I really need to make amends for what they. No, bitch, that's not what we're saying. Check your racism at the door. Like, for example, it's Tuesday. Don't assume that I want tacos just because I'm Mexican. Like that's the type of shit that we're talking about.
Well, let's talk about that.
Get down on your knees.
And so you don't
forgiveness.
But you don't want that. But there are people out there who do. There are people out there who radically want white people to do this, that they need them to.
Yeah, those people have a problem, and again, you're not going to solve systemic racism and just inbred racism by demanding oppression of another people. That's not how equality works. You don't oppress one in order to gain equality. Equality means we're the same. Stop treating us different.
Right.
That's the difference. That's true equality.
Yeah, I really, really don't believe that those on the left. I believe that what they want is, Thomas Sowell said it best, and let me see if I still have this guy's picture up here. I think I do. His name was, please tell me I have his picture up here. Maybe I don't. Did I get rid of him? Yeah, I got rid of his picture. Anyway. Well, he is the professor that was under, he was Barack Obama's professor. And Thomas Sowell was talking about him. Derek Bell, that's his name, Derek Bell. And Derek Bell really believes in this critical race theory, propaganda nonsense.
I don't know what that shit is.
Yeah, critical race theory means that because you're black, you're a victim. Because you're white, you're an oppressor. Inherently. Doesn't matter if you own slaves or not. It's because you have the ancestry of white people. You are automatically an oppressor, and your whiteness must be checked at the door. And that's what critical race theory is. And the father of critical race theory is Derek Bell, the former professor of Barack Obama at Harvard University. Now, what Thomas Sowell, conservative economist, intellectual, he talked to Derek Bell, and Thomas Sowell's response to Derek Bell was unique. He says that Derek Bell's view of equity is racism under new management. And that's what we're seeing here. This is just, we're going to bring back racism, but we're just going to switch we're going to switch the ethnicity of the group in charge of it.
Right. And I mean, I agree. Again, this is another situation where we agree. It's getting very crazy. I'm
weird.
not sure I like this.
Well, I am quite influential.
Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. But I appreciate you calling in. Yo, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. No. That's. I just want to reiterate.
Mm-hmm.
Equality is not achieved by running to the other extreme. We have to meet somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely. Agreed. Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling.
Absolutely.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Roseanne, everybody. I've turned her into a fan. I wonder how I did that. Let's applaud her. She's a brilliant young lady. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Lucky to have her call in on the show. Okay. Is that it? Yeah. Looks like we're done. I think so. I think it's only right. All right. Good show? Yeah? Can I pat myself on the back yet? I think I can. Call the ambulance. I might break my arm. Anyway, that's our show for tonight, folks. You know what that sound means. I will be back here tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. I have to fix my mic here. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. I'm Reese on the radio, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel, and I hope you'll be here too. Holla!